Welcome to Pray for Micah. And now your host, Micah Chrisman.
Welcome to the Pray for Micah podcast. Today, sponsored prayers are by Rayla and Pumbaa. That's my dog and my cat. I did that because they didn't know they were going to be today's sponsors, but we know my pets are praying for me because they're just like, hey, you can't start this podcast till you feed me. And so, and they were just, if I didn't feed them, they were going to terrorize the beads outside my door. Nick witnessed that. And today we have Nick Pickrell here. I was telling him, I was like, I always get started on these things real hot and sweaty. So for those who are watching on the YouTube side, you can see how gross I am today. But that's just because, New Year's Eve detoxing. That's basically what it is. And I mean, it's the coldest day of the year. Why should I be this sweaty? It's probably because I'm detoxing from New Year's Eve.
That's it.
So Nick's here to pray for me. Welcome,
Yes.
Nick.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Micah.
I say detoxing, and we're having some Moscow mules right now. So.
Yeah, it's the detox drink.
I mean, it's basically healthy, right? It's got agave in it. It's that's like healthy stuff, right?
I mean, that stuff is good.
Let me read your bio real quick.
Oh,
So Nick Pickrell is an activist, pastor, and performer in Kansas City. He's the founder and organizer of the Open Table, a progressive Christian church in Midtown that seeks to be a place of peace and reconciliation in a city divided. In addition to serving as the organizer of the Open Table, he is the co-founder and administrator for the Open Table anti-racism trainings. Whoop, whoop. I'm part of that.
hey.
Or at least, when I feel like being a part of it, when I'm being a piece of shit who's not there for like a year, we can get into that.
Dude, you had some stuff. Yeah,
some family stuff, some farm stuff, but I'm gonna get back into it. But he's the orchestrator administrator for that. Board of Charitable Catholic Worker. Hey, give a shout out to our Catholic Worker friends.
Catholic Worker.
And Nick has over 10 years of experience doing anti-poverty, anti-racism, and nonviolent communication work, and is in an active number of local and peace and justice groups. He's married to Sarah.
Yes.
Danae. Is it Dune?
It's done.
Done.
Sarah,
done. Sorry, Sarah.
You can say Dune. Sarah Dune.
Sarah Dune. I hope you listen to this, Sarah. I apologize. I want to have her on the show too.
You should.
She's got to come on here. If you were, I should have just had her first. Honestly,
she's the better. She's the better.
She's
of us.
the better half. I just know it.
Mm-hmm.
That or then your dogs, then probably you. It's probably how it should have been.
I'm definitely the lowest rung. I mean, Sarah's one of those people where she meets my friends, and then my friends like her more than me, and then I lose my friends to her.
Oh man, I could totally see that. Yeah, but
you can what the hell?
No,
you can totally see that.
Yeah, I can totally see that. How she just takes all, everyone wants to be friends with her. I get it.
Yeah,
she's just that cool.
Yeah, I guess.
But Nick, you're a super cool guy, and that's why I have you here. Because you literally have been my pastor since my kind of whole faith deconstruction journey has. I mean, I know you weren't my pastor. That wasn't your title at the Open Table, but. As a person who's been an influence in my life, I'm going to honor you with a gift.
Oh.
And my Christmas gift to you is the Rayla and Pumbaa calendar, because that's how deep and sentimental our relationship goes.
Thank you so much.
You don't get money. You don't get a sentimental card. You get pictures of my animals.
I want a calendar
for every day of the year. Yeah, good.
It will hang proudly on our fridge.
Let's start a new story is what it says. It's one of those templates things.
Thank you. I really love the cursive. That's really nice.
Yeah, show it for the camera.
Yeah, it's right there.
There's that one right there.
I got that.
So it's a new calendar for the year. That's kind of a new thing I started a year ago. It's like, hey, I can't always get my friends the nicest gifts they deserve, so they'll get the gifts that I want to give them. Yeah. The gifts that I find appealing.
Seriously, I mean, these pictures are glorious of Rayla and Pumbaa.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that.
Just different times throughout the year when I just capture a moment that ideally ties into the season. That's usually the goal.
Oh yeah, it's glorious. Oh.
Well,
that's great.
Thank you for receiving my gift.
It is received, and I said it here.
Yeah, and Happy New Year, man.
Same to you.
Yeah, you got big New Year's resolutions, or
so many.
What do we call them now? Lifestyle changes, or
I'm just setting intentions.
Setting intentions. Do you have a color picked out?
I've got a color. The color is going to be beige.
Beige. I always find it funny when like Google or them make up a color or whatever it is. It's just like, this is our color for the year. It symbolizes this thing. And just like, yeah, cool.
Yeah. That's a thing that you can do, I guess.
I did know somebody I used to work with. It was kind of cool. Her and her sisters would do something like that. They would pick a theme color for themselves, each as siblings. And then kind of throughout the year when they'd have family gatherings, they'd kind of wear clothes that kind of match that color to kind of whatever, set their intention for the year. Yeah.
God, I've
So yours is beige.
never done that. Yeah, so beige. This is the first time I've ever done this. So beige is my color. It's my color for the year.
The color that we look like. The color. Just
yep.
A little pink, a little beige.
This is the year that beige comes back.
Hey, baby, come back.
Hey,
beige.
Baby, come back.
Oh man, but yeah, no, it's gonna be a good year. I tell people like I don't ever set new resolutions because it's always the same as last year's resolutions.
I am in the same boat.
Quit smoking, lose weight, write more, be healthier.
Yep.
And I do those things off and on and get better throughout the year.
You got to give yourself a little grace.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just like to have fun, and sometimes when I think about setting resolutions, I'm just like, well, probably not going to do it.
Right.
So why set it? So I'm just like, I'm going to be me, and I'm going to grow up my pace, and I will set the goal at some point in time. I've just never been a big goal setter. I've never been like a 5-year plan guy. I'm just like yep, okay. I don't know. I guess I'll try this now. Like that's it. That's
how it's always Enneagram 7 coming out.
It is. It is.
Let's throw in some Enneagram.
I think really what it is I don't want to be held accountable for things that I agree to do as a New Year's resolution. So I'm just like not making them.
We're just gonna skip past having to be like owning accountability for the thing.
Yeah,
that's it. If I don't create the obligation, right. That's kind of what I tell myself. Like I already know what they are. The obligations are there, just stuffed tightly in my closet. Just don't. Just it's still there for next year, you know.
Oh, it'll be there.
And I always feel like I do better when I don't know. Springtime is usually when I like start to quote unquote work on my New Year's goals. It's like, okay, it's March. I survived winter.
You did it. You made
it. I did it. I slugged through all that depression.
Another year
just
of seasonal depression disorder.
Seasonal, yeah, right. Yeah, it's like I saw this meme that was like, is it seasonal depression or is it just masked? You know, it's like the Scooby-Doo thing, pull off the mask. Oh no, it's just actual depression. No, I'm not depressed for those who are worried about me. Mm-hmm. But if you want to, you can pray for me. Let's pray. Pray. Honestly, let's think about your friends who do go through a hard time during the winter time.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm always praying for you, Micah, especially when the name of your podcast came out. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Let's just pray for Micah.
My mom says she listens to the show, and so I got to give her a shout out because she's the one woman in my life who really does pray for me every day.
Aww.
And and always good things, always wanting, life, goals for me, and prays for all of her kids, truthfully. Yeah. But and she was like, you named your show this kind of whole cheeky, tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, but I see it as prophetic, and everyone's going to pray for you, and we're all praying for you, Mike. I'm like, hey, if that's what people want to do, why? We could all use some more prayer in our lives, sure.
Also, I haven't seen your parents in a while, but we
since high school.
Man. No, that's probably true. Since I was in high school.
So Ned grew up in Blue Springs, Missouri, and my dad taught for a while in Blue Springs. And so I don't know, was he ever your teacher, or you just went to his youth group?
I don't think so. Yeah, it was a youth group thing, and it wasn't. Because I was just kind of like going where all the kids were at. So it's just like, okay, high school kids that I loved hanging out with were at this thing. So it's like I went, and like that's where I encountered like your parents and you and all that. Was what is it? Was it Plaza Heights?
Plaza Heights was where my dad was a pastor at. Yep,
that's right.
And then you were in the band Game Time. And you are still in the band Game Time. Oh, let's talk. We
just started making music again.
You know what? It's just how's that been going? What's that been like? Being part of the
It's been fun. Again? It's been fun. Okay, I mean, truth be told, I have not listened to punk rock music since shortly after not being in Game Time anymore. So it's been like, I mean, it's we just started recording music again. It's the first time that Game Time has made music in like 17 years. So it's been a minute. And so we just started making music, and it's been a lot of fun. I don't think I realized how much I kind of missed it, because it's like, it's fast. It's fun. The vocal melodies are great. The backup vocal stuff is a lot of fun. It's just cool to get to like hang out with those people again and make that music. It's been fun.
Have you all been playing some shows, or you just been kind of just jamming right now?
Just recording, because we're not technically a full band again yet. So
yeah,
so
you weren't able to get everyone back.
Yeah,
you didn't put the game time signal, and everyone.
That's it. Yeah, no, yeah, we did. Yeah.
What? I've been waiting for this moment. The punk rock hair just immediately goes back up. Like,
dude, we could probably do it though, because I'm thinking like, what is it, that Community Christian Church on the Plaza? Like, if we can just get some sort of decal on that thing.
Oh, bro, come on.
Yeah.
We'll find you a venue. You guys can play a show.
Yeah.
We could do a house show right here.
Free spotlight.
You want to do a house show in my house? It's a little small, but
done.
Done. Just let me get real here.
Yeah.
Right in the microphone. Nick was also complimenting on my mic, so everybody just know that's why I love and care about you, my audience. I only buy the best for you, for my guests.
Listen to this quality.
Listen to this. Listen to the sound of my voice walking you through your nightly therapy session. Oh man, so game time, dude. And did you tour? Am I wrong? Did you guys like play a show or do something with Reliant K and kind of?
We did, yeah. So I mean, a lot of what we did. So we worked part-time jobs, saved up a bunch of money, quit those part-time jobs because a lot of them would not let us come back after we worked part-time and like, hey, we're going to be out for 3 months. Is that cool? Most places are like, no. So we would tour like maybe 3 to 6 months every year during the 3 years I was in Game Time. And, you know, we got to play a Warped Tour. We would tour around all over the place. And in Kansas City and St. Louis, we got the chance to like open for Reliant K and Berlin, I think, were the two bands that were on that bill. So we played like Beaumont Club, now Char Bar. And then we played, I'm forgetting the name of the venue because it's not a normal venue that has shows, but it's somewhere like in St. Louis. So we opened for them there. And that was by far like, I mean, I will say that's the most merch we ever sold. Those two shows were like, dang, all right, well, I'll take this.
Yeah, there's a lot of people made it. Like, there was big shows.
Yeah, it was good. It was a lot of fun.
So what's it been like kind of re-engaging back into the music world? Because, I mean, you've been, the coordinator for the Open Table, so you still kind of had your dabbling in music in that scene, but it was more like, for ministerial purposes. But what's it been like just for fun, just getting back with some of the crew?
Yeah, it's been good. Like I love Kyle Devlin to death, and it's been fun to connect with Gabe again because I hadn't chatted with Gabe, the drummer, in ages. Yeah. So I mean, Kyle Devlin and I have probably kept up the most out of anybody in Game Time. So it was fun when Kyle Devlin like kind of approached me, being like, "Hey, it's time. We should probably like record some stuff." And so I was like, "Okay, let's do it." So, yeah. So it's been a blast to like reconnect and to engage in the creative process because I've been in another band for like 10 years, 11 years now, probably like Achilles.
Yeah.
But it's like that one. The trajectory of that band is I started out as kind of a collaborator, at least like I kind of would come up with my bass lines and would have some input. But these days it's more like I'm a player in the band. And David Bennett is the songwriter. So, so it's, it has its pros and cons. Like I don't have a ton of time, so it's nice to be able to just show up, say like, hey, play this, hey, sing this, and then I just do it and then we're done. So that's nice, but I do miss the creative stuff, the more creative stuff where we get to just kind of like bounce ideas off each other and come up with something. So that's why I've loved Game Time, because it's re-engaging that part that I haven't gotten the chance to like tap into for a while. Yeah. So it's good.
Hey, cheers to Game Time.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everybody,
Game Time.
Can we check them out? Like, might as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where do you follow
Spotify it. Spotify it. We've got so we have 2 new songs that are out, and the third one is being released like next Friday.
Oh, okay. So you're recording Friday. And putting it out. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Just little singles.
I thought you were like recording a demo or.
No. It's just like our goal is to to try to release one once every couple months, and so, so we'll see. But yeah, we've got 2 out there now, and the third one's coming up on Friday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Which date? Because we know today's the 2nd.
Let me consult the calendar.
Use the Rayla Pumbaa calendar. That's actually the only accurate record keeper of time.
That's true. That's very true. It's going to be on the 7th.
7th
of
June.
The 7th of If it's the 7th of June, that's a while. It's a while from now.
Oh, January.
Yeah.
What month is this?
Where
Okay,
are
wait.
you?
I'm already in summertime.
You're
Is it cold?
detoxing. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm detox. It's cold, and I'm just inside hibernating and drinking. That's just all I'm doing. You won't see me till June. That's when
it.
I reemerge for my birthday. No, it's funny because I think my family and everyone, I think they're probably worried I'm like becoming a lush or something. Because my mom, what she does is she's like, hey, here's some money. Go buy yourself Christmas presents and like bring them, and those will be from me.
Yeah.
This year I took it even another step. I was like, well, if it's already come to my house, I'm just gonna like unpack it, and then I'm gonna bring a wrapped box.
I love it. You're already like enjoying it.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, here's the box. I'll unwrap it. You're like, oh, it's so great.
So I'm like, thanks, you got me this cocktail set for my piano bar, and thanks, you got me these whiskey stones because I've been trying to like play around with making new drinks on the piano bar.
Yep.
And so everyone's just like, okay, what? Thanks, you got me these bottles of liquor. No, I'm just kidding. It's like, well, is Micah okay? Should we go check on him?
But also, your piano bar is pretty incredible looking. You've made that thing look pretty awesome.
Yeah, I need to like put a picture here on the video portion so people can see it. If you're on YouTube, I'll treat you and put a picture of it on there. But yeah, or you can go to my Instagram, MJ Chrisman. But yeah, it's basically an old family piano that couldn't hold a tune anymore, and just decided to take all the strings out, build cabinets in it and speakers, and just kind of pimp out the whole thing.
I love it. So it's a family heirloom, but it's transforming.
It's like a transformed family. It's like literally built in like 1950 something, like in New York City. I can't remember what company it was. And it just couldn't hold a tune. Pianos will do that if you leave them in front of a fireplace for 40 years. They just suddenly, like a wood burning stove, the wood just
you're just slowly cooking it.
Yeah,
for 50 years.
My parents would have guys they'd hire to come out and try to tune it, and they would just eventually they were just like, I'm not coming back to do this. Like, this will be ruined again next year. Like, your bow and everything is the harp is warped, and so it's sad that it can't hold a tune anymore, but that's why I put the speakers in. If I really want to, I can play some like piano music. So at least there's still sound emanating from it. You know?
Yeah.
Keep the spirit of the thing still alive.
Oh, that spirit is alive for sure.
And then I was able to make these Moscow Mules with my new Christmas gift cocktail set. So
that's right, on the family heirloom piano.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
And I think maybe a goal, if there is a drink less goal this year, it is like, hey, do it when I have company, like just keep it chill, don't have to be that person who drinks alone. That's what depressed people do. Like just have friends over every night.
That's it. I love that. You're like, hey, can you come over? I feel weird if I do this alone.
I'm trying to do a podcast. Do you want to come over and record a podcast? I really need you to come over and record a podcast. I really need you. No. Okay. Oh, okay. Got someone tonight. Yeah, I can drink that. No.
That's it.
No, I think I always have to watch my relationship with anything. Food. We've talked about that a lot on the show. Just like, I just like to go ham, just like I'm not a half measured person,
I hear that.
If there's a meal, a pizza that I should only have a couple slices of, why not eat half of it,
Yeah. I mean, it's
or
there.
the whole thing,
Yeah. Why not? It's sitting there. I get it. Like I'm a mess at all you can eat buffets. I mean, I haven't done it since the pandemic. Are any of them still around? No.
I went to one like Chinese buffet, and
really?
It was terrible food. I also had never been to this one before, so
like since COVID has hit. You've been to a
this
buffet.
was like, I don't know, 2-3 months ago when everyone was feeling at their safest.
Yeah.
Like everyone's just like, I don't know why. I don't know if there's ever been a true quote unquote safe season, but at that time, I just remember being like, and I went by myself. That's the other thing. I never go to buffets, usually ever. If I am going to go, it's going to usually be with people. Yeah. But I was that sad of a person that day. I was like, I'm going to go.
I'm going to go to this freaking buffet.
Hashtag pray for Micah. I'm going to go to the buffet. Just like 4 plates around me. Just like, I'm here. I'm ready. And no one's here to judge me and my family. No,
God, I love that so much.
Have you ever been? Do you go to things like that by yourself? Do you ever go to like a movie by yourself? Or
I have. I've gone to movies by myself. I don't often do it. Like, I mean, one of the things that I remember, I went to a couple shows by myself, And that's like something that I never do. I'm always with friends going to concerts. And so there was one that I went to, again, Beaumont Club, RIP, now Char Bar. Love it.
Rest in peace.
But I went to go see Rat-a-Tat. So they're like, just like a dance, like a guitar dance rock band. Mm-hmm. And it was incredible. Like I don't think I recognized a single person in there. And so I was just, hanging out and just like dancing my brains out. And it was fun. But it was like, I also did Flaming Lips by myself. And that was one that was like, man, I wish someone else was here. Cause it felt like a really big like birthday party. But I had fun, but I was just like, oh man. I want someone to like turn and be like, this is incredible.
Right.
I mean, I did it with all the strangers around me, but I'm like, it's just not, it's not the same.
Yo, man, I don't know you, but come here, I love you,
my God. He's in a ball.
Seriously, though, I feel like, people put stigmas on going to these things by yourself. But, I could understand maybe a show and different things feeling, it's nice to have someone there. But, I don't know why we don't just do things like go to see movies by ourselves more often.
I don't know. I feel like there's a whole mess of people who are like down with that and they love it. And it's one of those things where I should probably just make it. This is not a New Year's resolution.
This is not a New Year's resolution. This is just like a thought that could.
Just a thought that's coming up. And it's like, I mean, it's good to like, go
Treat
and do
yourself.
things by
Yeah.
yourself. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what I was doing
have-
that day with the buffet. I was just
That makes
like,
sense.
you know what? There's no one here. I feel like eating a bunch of Chinese food. I'm just going to treat myself.
Why not?
But it still felt weird when I sat down. I'm like, okay, all these people are going to stare at me while I just sit at a buffet by myself.
That's it. I love it. Do you feel like people were staring at you?
I just have to tell myself, of course, with my anxiety, everyone's staring at me. Everyone's judging me. That's just how life is. My animals are always judging me. That's why they're sponsors.
I felt
today's prayers.
judged whenever I came in.
Oh, they were judging me hard, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Rayla has to get a good sniff of your crotch, and Poopa's got to attack your shoes. Once you're there, then you're family. They don't judge anymore. But yeah, you're family, bro. Yeah, welcome.
Are you still waiting for that? Is that why they're judging you?
Yeah, Rayla still hasn't sniffed my crotch, and Poopa still hasn't attacked my shoes. No, they do. They do that every day. They do that while I sleep. Let me just attack his balls real quick. Just like real quick, just whop over the head.
Yeah.
So I sleep alone now. I love my pets, but I'm like, all right. I say goodnight to them out here. I put them to bed, and I shut my door before Pumbaa tries to run in because he always is like, oh, human's going to bed. Let's try to bolt into his door because then he hides under my bed, and I've like been like, okay, that's fine. He can like sleep somewhere in here, and then 3 a.m, 4 a.m, he's
hopping up. He's like,
he's
now's
attacking
the time.
my feet. Like,
now's the time. Yeah.
I'm like, get off the bed.
That's good on you because we definitely have 2 little terriers and we're in a queen size bed, and they are always all up on the bed with us while we sleep, and it can be very annoying. Like one of the habits, Socks, like he's like a little white fluffy dog that we've got. About like 3 a.m. almost every night, he will just decide to come up and sit on one of our pillows, and he will lay across it. So he is taking up the vast majority of whatever pillow he decided to sleep on. And it is so annoying. It is so annoying. There are plenty of nights where I wake up and I just like try to just throw him off or get him onto Sarah's pillow or something so I'm not having to deal with it. It's bad. It's bad. But I like your style. Pets not on beds is probably a wise move.
Yeah, I of course, love them and want them to feel like they're my equal. But at the end of the day, they're just not. They don't get my bed. The day you can get my bed, you can be my true equal. But no, you're not. There's always got to be that one separation. That one, like I'll still let in my bed and we'll cuddle for a minute. But when it's bedtime, okay, separation.
I will say, we do have one dog that has separation anxiety. And one of the things they told us in order to break it, and it's like, oh God, we're not going to be able to do this, is they said to make sure that you do not actually show affection. Don't let them sit on the same things you sit on, lay on the things that you lay on, and then only show them affection, like pet them when they do like a trick or something, or they do something that you want them to do, and then you can do like just a
Hitler?
few pets. And,
and
I'm like, what? Yeah, because Sarah's like, oh my God, then why would we have a pet?
Sociopath?
Yeah, I know.
Only love your pets when they do circles through this loop, this flaming loop fire thing.
That's it.
All right, now you get affection.
Yeah, but it feels weird. We're not going to do it.
That's funny because I literally just saw TikTok about this today. So this proves my theory about we're in a simulation, or like we bring up things and it comes up later in conversation, or you see an ad and suddenly, or you say something and you see an ad later.
Yep.
It's not that we're actually in a simulation. Just marketing's really good right now. It's
real top notch.
It's really figured out. But it literally was talking about this guy on TikTok was like, yeah, what happens is I do this. Like, goodbye, Rayla. I love you. Watch after Pumbaa. You guys take care of the house. Like, I have a whole speech for them as I'm like going out the door on like a 3-day like little quick trip somewhere. And like, yeah, I come back and the house is like, looks like my dog's hair has exploded. My animal, did someone shave you, Rayla? No, she just has separation anxiety and just decided to explode hair all over the place.
Oh.
Now you have to just make it look like you're making a trip to the store. Like, hey, I'll see you guys in a little bit, and just kind of, you're not even say that. Be
gone for 3 days.
As minimal, right. Yeah, you basically just make it look as casual as possible. I mean, you can't really get away from it 100%. You're going to take your bags and this, I don't know if it was the calendar, bring it up, but somehow my parents or my pets have gotten a lot of airtime today. So
they have. They have.
Yours too. So
we're thinking about them.
New Year's Eve, I guess. New Year's resolution just consumed with life and pets.
Pets.
Just pets.
Well, see you later.
I think we could just shut this podcast down.
Okay, bye.
I don't think I have to talk about anything ever again.
Nope, that's
just
it.
Rayla and Pumbaa. If you have a dog or a cat. Okay, one last dog thing. This actually reminds me, Jim Gaffigan thing where he like has all these horse jokes and he like does it for 10 minutes. He's like, you're probably wondering if I'm still going to keep making horse jokes. And then he like tries to go on and then he comes right back to horse jokes. Just
classic.
But one last thing about pets was oh, never mind. The mind slipped away. So just cut that out. Yeah, just knowing that. I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, I remember what it was. So I can't remember who it was telling me their friend that they work with is like, I can't remember which part of Asia. I don't know if they were from China or whatever, but they were just like, what's the biggest thing, like weirdest, like cultural difference you've experienced living in the U.S.? They're like, how many people have animals living in their house? Like they were just like, ew, gross.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
Nope.
Like, yeah, like it's kind of an absurd thing when you think about it. We just like let these creatures like inhabit the same space as us. Like I clean my cat's shit in the corner every day in a litter box,
Yeah.
And just like, yeah, in hindsight, like I guess I grew up on a farm, I got used to.
Oh yeah, what was it? I saw like a TikTok video where it was some video where they really bonded with a horse and had the horse like regularly coming into the house with them. So like,
it just takes a special kind of like, culture. Yeah. Like, And so we brought our sheep inside and our cows when it was really cold, So that's just another food for thought. Other people in the world are judging us because they're just like normal people probably in the world. They're like, hey, humans live inside. Our pets live outdoors. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. I love that this is feeding into your anxiety. It's like, oh, another thing for people to judge me.
Yeah. Another thing. Yeah. Like, oh, do I have a dog and cat living inside? I don't know. I'm second guessing everything in 2022. No, I love them, especially cold days like this. I'm like, gotta keep them alive. Okay. Well, how much can I just keep blowing off the time here when talking about my pets? No. Mm-hmm. Nick, let's jump into your life. You and Sarah.
Please. Yeah.
So you're part of the Open Table, and we started this anti-racism cohort. And I'm just curious, like, because, since I'm such a bad participant in the cohort these days, being so far removed, year in and year out, at this point, month in, month out. Like, how do you feel like that's going? Do you feel like we're going to, like, do more trainings? Like, basically what we do in the cohort is we got this grant. You want to share a little bit about the background of it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you said it. We got a grant. We then put a call out to people to see if they wanted to join this anti-racism training cohort. Got like close to 50 applicants, and then we accepted 20. And now we're a cohort of like maybe I think like 18. We've only lost like a couple of folks, I think, over the years. And we meet monthly to kind of go over best practices for trainings, like what folks have been trying, and then we'll do like racial identity caucusing and or just ask basic questions of one another to see like how, like what are some things that we're just kind of like thinking about, struggling with, whatever. So it's essentially like we're relationship building. It's like multiracial relationship building, but in the context of this like anti-racism cohort. And then we also offer trainings. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping this next year, yeah, I think we'll have more trainings. I'm actually really excited about this upcoming year because we're actually able to hire someone to work part-time as like the program manager of the cohort. So I will be able to like, and that program manager will be the person who kind of supervises. We have an AmeriCorps Vista that helps like oversee the administration of the thing. And so that means I get to like take a step back and just be a steering committee person within our cohort, because we've got, cohort of 18, steering committee of like 6, and then we've got Micah Chrisman plus 5 other people as part of our curriculum team. And we've got the curriculum. And so we're just kind of working out how to, train our trainers in, the next couple modules. And we did receive a grant. We had to say no, but we're hoping to reapply again this year, where we could then like engage in more deep training to enable us to do more, so that every single person in the cohort can do consulting. Because right now I know for a fact that like not everybody in our cohort feels like they can do just like long-term consulting
really?
through an anti-racism lens with the different organizations that are asking for it. So that's some of the stuff that's like coming up. So I'm hopeful for this next year and like the kind of the next chapter of anti-racism training stuff. So it'll be good.
Yeah, like I feel like I was really involved and then was doing the curriculum stuff, and then just the pandemic. And the truth is, like, just so much as life has just happened. I mean, for all of us during the pandemic, and still did some trainings here and there, but just, wasn't able to be as involved with the curriculum committee. But I feel like that was still some of the most transformative time in the cohort, talking about internalized racial superiority, internalized racial inferiority, and just that whole socialization process, and just how we basically are told, like, hey, we're the shit as white people. And like everybody else should give us their shit. And I mean, that's the crass way to sum up.
It's like because it's an excellent wake up call being in a group like this to be like, oh, damn. All right. So I guess everything that I have grown up with is like cultural norms and that kind of thing. Like that gets universalized out. And everybody is just expected to assimilate into it. And that is like so unbelievably damaging. I mean, that's just one aspect of it, but it's just like, oh shoot. Like we take this culture, this white supremacy culture, say that it's like, okay, this is the way you need to be. And then everybody that falls outside of it, like, good luck getting your resources met. And while that's happening, everybody's like, well, I don't understand why they can't just do that thing and why they can't succeed like I'm succeeding or something. And it's like, there's just like a lack of, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it is, but there's like something's going on. I don't know. It's like, maybe it's just denial. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's a power. Socialization is very powerful. And so it's important to figure out how to like name these things so that we can break those socialization cycles, because that's what keeps it going.
I mean, we're seeing it even with the backlash against critical race theory and just people just being like, we don't want these things being taught in schools and all this stuff. And it's just, I don't know. On the one hand, you can look at those things as signifiers of, oh, this is actually being spoken of. So it means that at least we're making some kind of difference from a greater historical sense. Like if it wasn't being argued about at the power levels, then we would be like, okay, but we can kind of look at those things as like a signifier of, okay, we're making social change and progression because we're at least having people who are vehemently trying to destroy it or cut it.
People aren't ignoring it anymore.
Right. Exactly. And so what do you feel like, well, let's take a step back. Like what do you feel like got you kind of started? Because even like in your bio we were reading, and that was like one of the first times I feel like I really reconnected to you before I even started going to the open table, was going to one of your nonviolent, like, what was it? Nonviolent communication training. I think it was. And it was part of an anti-racism series that Jacob Well was doing. That was like I was like, Nick, what the heck? You're here. And I was like, Nick's doing trainings on like anti-racism stuff. I was like, this is cool, Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. Kind of what I honestly don't know that gap between Blue Springs game time to meeting you post college, post all that, and to like.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, I don't know. Everything's been kind of slow going. Like the seismic shifts that happened was, I grew up in a fundamentalist Baptist church in Blue Springs. At that time, it was called Woods Chapel Baptist Church. Now it's called what's it called? Crossway or something. It's on Woods Chapel Road, like right by the Sonic that's there. And so I as I got into college and stuff, I found myself at like a non-denominational church, and then I was doing punk rock stuff at that time. Hadn't really thought about anything, but it was just like I wanted to go where things were like cooler than what I had experienced like growing up. I wanted to go where the production was happening, and they were doing like cool songs and that kind of thing. And then, I after game time, I worked for Youth Front, which is another non-denominational non-denominational youth organization thing, Christian youth organization thing. So I worked at their summer camps and that kind of thing. While I was there, I heard a sermon by a dude named Shane Claiborne in 2005, 2006, and couldn't get that thing out of my head because this guy was talking about living in community, doing all this stuff, talking about solidarity with the poor and just caring about justice issues, and it really spoke to me. And so, took a pretty formational trip abroad, and then came back. And the day I came back, there was like an email in my inbox saying, "Hey, come check out this new Catholic worker house in town called Cherith Brook." So, I went there. They gave me cookies and a book to Cherith Brook Catholic Worker. They gave me cookies and a book, and I moved in and lived there for 5 years. And you also lived there after I was gone, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Our paths just keep crossing, Micah.
I know. It literally was like, they were like, "Do you know Nick?" He used to live. I was like, "Nick who?" They're like, "Nick Pickrell." I was like, "Oh yeah, Nick Pick."
Yeah, that's it.
But who doesn't know Nick Pick?
Yeah.
I mean, at this point in Kansas City, you're just.
That's it. When you live here and you're in a band and doing. I mean, it's like people in the Christian scene know me, but people outside of that probably have no idea who I am. But it's like doing youth front stuff.
Right.
Like that's like doing all these things that are like
you did commercials.
Citywide.
Yeah. You don't want to get into that. You're like,
no, it's fine. I mean, we can, but that's like well after the fact.
You're also an actor too.
Yeah.
That's also I didn't mention that in the bio, but
yeah. But it's like so at Cherith Brook, we started to deal with issues of like war and peace and poverty and these systemic issues. And that's when I woke up to like the social elements of the gospel, which is like, no, okay, so Jesus had very specific things to say about economics, politics, social order, those kinds of things. And that was just like a new thing for me. I'd never had to wrestle with any of that. So the first year at Cherith Brook was hard because of all that kind of shifting. But the interesting thing is while I was living at Cherith Brook, there wasn't any, I don't think I had any wake up calls when it came to racism. It wasn't until, we had it was actually the year that I left. So like 2013, the year that I left Cherith Brook, that there was a faith and resistance retreat where a bunch of Catholic worker houses would get together. This one was in St. Louis. And it was right after like the Ferguson stuff was going on. And the Catholic workers, usually what would happen at these faith and resistance retreats, as you know, is we would go to support some houses, peace and justice work, and a bunch of us would get arrested. So that was basically like part of the course. This particular one, they decided to do actions on ourselves to reflect on why in the world it was that the Catholic worker movement has been so white since the beginning. And it's not that it's just a homogenous group. It's not. There's definitely these are definitely multiracial communities, but the power dynamics are usually that the workers are white and the folks who are guests are not. And so why has that been the case since like the 30s largely? Why has that been at least more the norm than not? Because there's definitely examples, and a dude named Lincoln Rice writes beautifully about it, about some of the instances where that was not the case. But that's just largely been the case. So that's when I probably first woke up to it, and it was a Crossroads anti-racism training and organizing. I'm forgetting it was Crossroads anti-racism trainings and organizing and trainings. I'm forgetting what it is. It's like there's something and something. It's organizing and trainings or trainings and organizing, whatever it is. But they were the ones who ran that one, and it was an action on ourselves. And some Catholic workers were mad that like there wasn't an arrestable action, but it was more like a reflective thing. So that's kind of actually what got me going on the journey, because I lived my full 5 years at Cherith Brook completely unaware of white saviorism.
Right. Yeah,
all that stuff.
sure.
It's like, bummer. But we
That's
learn.
how it is
we
with
learn.
all white folks at some point, whatever. It's like,
Yeah. So that's kind of where it started was then, and it just kind of kept going from there. So 2013 was like kind of my own kind of wake up call. And then, with Open Table and that kind of thing, doing a couple more trainings and that and all that. And then the Open Table doing a series on racism, and everything just kind of kept leading that way. And then when Surge formed in Kansas City,
right,
being involved in that a little bit, that was tremendously helpful and was a super transformative time too.
Showing up for racial justice, in case anyone's wondering about who Surge is. I remember
not the power drink.
Yeah, not the power drink, Surge. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I had with similar conversations when I was at Cherith Brook, and that was, probably them having several years of trying to work through some of the same issues of, and the argument is that, well, most white folks are the people who have the ability to have downward mobility, or they tend to be the ones who have some kind of wealth to give up to make them more equitable or show solidarity with people. And I think there could be critiques from all sides of it. I think the beautiful thing about like what we experience at Cherith Brook is being able to live in community with folks who we didn't just soup kitchen serve them. We really built relationships with folks on the streets and shared life with them. And you could go through, I'm sure, 1,000 memories here, just all the experiences you had. I mean, you guys were the ones who started all the work I had to keep up with: the chickens, the bees, the urban farm that is Cherith Brook, that's right down the street from where I live now. Literally, what became the little urban hub that you guys, your people created at that time.
I'm so sorry you had to keep that up.
Yeah, just like,
I'm still traumatized from all the gardening that we did. It was just like, with everything that we did, plus like over 3,000 square feet of gardening, plus keeping up with chickens, plus keeping up with bees, plus tending to the fruit trees that were there. It was just like, it was... Whew.
I mean, when you had 10 people there,
it makes sense.
It was just me and a couple people, but it was a whole different ballgame.
Yep.
But, you guys were the ones, did you go out there and jackhammer that? Literally,
we did.
They had to jackhammer a whole pavement driveway just to be able to have ground for the chickens.
Yep. Yeah, we got rid of a whole lot of our driveway in order to have chickens.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you want a refresher? I can just take a little break and make something.
Sure.
Brief intermission.
Over and over.
All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We had to go freshen up our beverages just for a quick... I have to tighten up my mustache a little bit.
Yeah, I saw that Kevin Murphy in your bathroom. I saw that Kevin Murphy product in your bathroom. I saw that Easy Rider.
You got to just do the things that help you make just a little bit better.
Oh, yeah.
Give you a little bit of an edge. So I decided to grow out a mustache, and so I don't even look like my logo anymore for the show. It's just like so drastically different.
So different. No, that's true. You don't have the big old bushy beard.
Right. Like a short beard, rocking a short beard, got my little kind of started handlebar mustache. But now my biggest thing I'm trying to do is I always did this with the beard, the compulsion to just rub my beard. Here, I'll make some sounds in the microwave, some ASMR. Beard scratching.
Listen to the beard.
Now I just find myself constantly fidgeting and messing with my mustache and curling it up. So that's the sound.
That's perfect.
This makes this sound.
Do you hear it?
Over my breathing heavily. Can you hear the mustache? Oh man, this is what I do, man. We just have fun on this show. Don't want you to think anything else.
That's it. That's perfect.
But okay, so we were just talking about Cherith Brook. We're talking about the conversation white folks have in the Catholic worker community. And that kind of started your journey of wanting to start doing anti-racist stuff. And I think you were, like many of us, I think, in this area, or, who grew up in the evangelical Christian background, trying to reconcile our, like, religiosity, kind of bibliolatry past with how we really should be addressing, like, the principalities or the powers that be the works of darkness in the world. And... from what I understand, that's kind of what your dream was behind the Open Table, was to basically start a church community that was living and moving kind of like a Catholic worker that would be kind of multi-dimensional, multifaceted, like income levels people and just share a meal.
Yep.
And yeah, so how's that journey been? How long have you been doing this now at the open table?
A little bit.
How long are you? We won't get into how old you are.
7 years.
7 years. Holy smokes.
Yeah. Almost 7.5. Actually, no, it is 7.5 now. So it'll be 8 in May. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, you're right. So the open table, there was a small group of us that met together to like figure out what in the world it was that we were going to do. And what's funny is like we ended up doing something that's essentially ripping off a couple key tenets that are just a couple key things that the Catholic worker would always do. So we always make sure there's like a meal. So all the houses of hospitality in the Catholic worker movement usually involves some sort of food and sitting around a table together. So there's that piece that's been true of the open table, not since the pandemic, but like that's like normally the thing is like the meal is our kind of focal point. And then the other piece that Catholic worker would do is called like a clarification of thought or a roundtable discussion. And Peter Morin, one of the co-founders of the Catholic worker movement, would always say it's the clarification of thought. It exists to bring the worker to the scholar and the scholar to the worker. So that way you get this exchange of ideas and action. So you kind of get the academic folks out of academia to figure out how that actually applies in real world situations. And then you get the real world people who are living their lives, like taking in some of this information and seeing how it affects their daily life. So so that's essentially the essence of what the open table is, for sure. But it's, obviously our focus has changed over the years because now we're a community that's primarily trying to focus on liberation and healing for the Kansas City community. And that was not intent. That was not the original intent. Not that it wasn't, it was just more broad. And so I feel like, over the past couple of years, we've just gotten increasingly more honed in on what it is we want to do, even though if you're showing up at a gathering, you may not be able to tell the difference, but some of the stuff that we're trying to do behind the scenes and the way that we're organizing as a leadership team and that kind of thing, it looks different than what a lot of churches look like. But yeah, I mean, that's it. Because I wasn't, honestly, if it wasn't for the open table, I don't know if I'd be going to church.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And we'll just talk about the elephant in the room. I've been the worst open table churchgoer over the last 2 years.
Which is why we pray for you.
This is why everyone, even my non-churchy church, is praying for me.
That's it.
I'll tell you the truth, man. And this is not, like it's been a community that I needed through my whole, like, just kind of young adult life here these last 7 years, like you said. That and Cherith Brook and a lot of the friends and people in the community here in Kansas City have been really part of like my faith deconstruction, reconstruction journey. But I started therapy about 1.5 years ago, going to see a counselor. This is kind of right after the George Floyd protests and stuff. And
yep.
The pandemic, everything just taking a toll on everyone's mental health. And so I started seeing somebody just to kind of work through my issues and kind of delve into past stuff, current stuff, whatever. And I realized in my tendency for my white saviorism is, and being a 2 on the Enneagram, I mean, there's so many things.
You're a great host, by the way.
Hey, you're welcome. Yeah, this is what 2s do. Let me just feed you and brush you and just massage your feet real quick.
Okay, so I don't know when the brushing is happening or the foot massage.
Oh, it's already happening. It's already, you don't even know it, but I'm already behind you. Just but I have this, and I'm really bastardizing the Enneagram by just being like, oh, I'm such a 2 thing, to do. But for those who know what a 2 is, it's when they're in an unhealthy state, they tend to want to find their thrive and meaning from pleasing others by just trying to serve people to the point where they ignore their own personal pain and their own personal self-development that needs to happen. And so doing that for years in the church and the evangelical scene was really good at like just letting the ego grow and thrive and think I'm like a really good person, but really was really toxic to a lot of people who were outside of that church community, who didn't have that same worldview. And so I've had a lot of issues trying to break away from the people-pleasing aspect of church community. And so, honestly, I think for me, I didn't realize I needed the break. But I think at the beginning of the pandemic, when we were just doing virtual stuff, and then there was so much Zoom fatigue, I think the thing I've been wrestling with the most over the last year and a half since I started therapy and stuff is just like, how do I return to those kind of communities in a way that isn't trying to do the people pleasing kind of the way I used to gauge church, where I just don't want to find myself in those same old habits. Cause like, I understand that the calling I'm in now is like part of my truth. Like it's, the anti-racism work and everything that we do is so critical to what I think needs to change in the world. But I just truthfully have like had a hard time just getting back on to either coming in person or getting on. And then truthfully, that was, I think, my biggest struggle with Cherith Brook. And like everything's cool with us and I want to like have Eric and people on, and like I still volunteer some, but living in a community where we were also serving folks who are disenfranchised and marginalized, and as a white male trying to do good in the community, but having to kind of assess my motives and my values. And as much as like, I love Cherith Brook in the community, just like, my tendency to want to be in positions where I'm trying to please the pastoral Christian community figures, in order to try and find my own identity. And so that's not to like say that this is strictly relational to my journey and how I'm trying to re-engage the world in a more healthy Enneagram space where like I can just come be my full self. And it's not that I wasn't my full self all these years going to Open Table or living and working at Cherith Brook for a couple years. It's more about, I'm 32 years old, deconstructed my faith, and just trying to find myself and what are my motivations behind doing anti-racism work, and trying to live simply and do the minimalistic lifestyle and what's really true to who Micah is. And yeah. I think that was a hard part. And then there was obviously have to go back to my family, my farm, and helping, do that. And there was just a lot of life change. So have to leave the community for that reason. But, it's been a wild ride, the pandemic.
Yeah.
Just a lot of internal dissecting and healing, I think, from truthfully, just the toxicity of, people-pleasing culture.
Yep. I feel that.
You feel that people-pleasing culture, toxicity?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a 7. I'm an extrovert. I don't want conflict. And so like people-pleasing is like in my blood. But it's like, I mean, for real though, like, I mean, what you're doing is incredible stuff. Like, the kind of Christianity that we grew up in, like really puts authoritative figures on a pedestal. Right. So it's like everybody's looking up to that pastor. I know the church that I went to growing up, basically, if you ever disagreed with the pastor, his response to you is like, well, you're probably not a Christian. You're probably going to hell. Like I had conversations with this person when I joined Cherith Brook, and he started off by saying like, oh, you're one of our success stories. and then we got into a little bit of how Cherith Brook works and the fact that we aren't like preaching at people. Mm-hmm. And we left that conversation. I mean, we started talking about like, the sinner's prayer and the Roman road and all these kinds of things. And because we weren't doing like altar calls, he was convinced that I was like no longer a Christian. It's just nuts. And so it's like, okay, I realize that this is more about, I mean, not to knock it. I mean, there are times in our lives where we need things to be black and white because everything else is just too crazy. And I get that. But at the same time, I want to commend you because like in order to do the work you're kind of doing, that you're doing it requires you to sit in the gray area because you're like taking internal stock and trying to figure out like, okay, so what are my values? How do I operate from those values So like, I mean, you're kind of exploring, like in organizing terms, you're exploring your own self-interest. And then in just like more spiritual terms, like you're trying to sit with and be with like who you actually are and operating from that place rather than trying to take on everybody else's stuff. Because when we do that, it sends us all into like an existential tailspin.
Yeah.
Which
right.
isn't good. It's not fun. It is not fun. It's really hard. But I mean, the cool thing is like, I don't know, like one of the things I think about, I just graduated from a spiritual direction program called Sojourners.
Oh, yeah.
Sojourners. Hanging out with a bunch of radical nuns.
I was really hoping it was spelled
Atchison.
like Soldier, like
Oh,
Soldier
that'd
Boy,
be
like
so
Soldier,
good. Like Soulja Boy?
like Soldier. That's how for some reason that's how.
No, it's not that good. It's not that good.
Sojourners.
Yeah. God, that'd be great. I'll make that recommendation for you.
Sojourners.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
But like one of the things that we talked about, I mean, we were learning about some of the different like, mystics over the years, some of the Christian mystics from over the years. And one of them, Teresa of Avila, I'm paraphrasing here, but one of the things that she had said was that we can only know God as much as we know ourselves, and we can only know ourselves as much as we know God. So like those things are intertwined. And so it's important for us to do this kind of work where we're getting to know ourselves and understanding our values, because that's like, when we do that we're tapping into the divine spark that animates all of us. That divine spark that it's, I don't know, it's like that stardust of God that's like in us.
I love that. Yeah.
And so whenever we do this stuff, like that's kind of what we're operating out of, and that's going to be our sweet spot. And ideally though, what I'd like to see, I don't know if this got cut off or not, but in our technical difficulties, but like you had talked about how like, and I'm in the same way where I just wish I could just be this like confident person. It's like, I know my stuff. And sometimes like, I mean, there are people who are assholes in the world that like, that's how they operate.
Right.
And they've been able to get by on that. But I also see like there's a limitation there, because I don't feel like that's a posture of learning. And so the tricky piece for us is like, how can we live in the gray where we're kind of discovering who we are, living from that place.
Yes.
And knowing that whenever we're like living from that deep, deep place of our values, that's also where God and us are kind of like deeply intertwined. But also being willing to learn, just understanding that we've all got blind spots. So I feel like that's a sweet spot, but it doesn't make it any easier. But that requires us like going to, Chinese buffets by yourself.
I am confident in myself. I like give myself a pep talk before I go into the buffet. You can do this, Micah. No one's judgment is considered but your own. How much you consume at this buffet is only for your judgment.
That's it. But for real though, I mean, it's like, because I think of like, your asshole comment. We're just like, I know it.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I lost it. It's fine.
Yeah. No, but I think what you were saying earlier too, that just, yeah, we idealize those people. We see them in movies and we think like they've just got their shit together. But then what really happens is those people just decide who they're going to be in their like early 20s. And they're like, okay, I'm never going to change. Like, yeah, they quote unquote know themselves, but they stay fixed. And then they're just like, well, you just need to bend your life around who I am. And I think that's the toxicity of, being rigid like that.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, the way that I think it goes towards religion, I mean, it's the same thing with anything that we do, even anti-racism. There can be kind of like a toxic religiosity to anti-racism stuff as well. And some of that's understandable. Like I remember reading in like it was a Boundaries book by Cloud and Townsend. And I remember one of my favorite things that I will never forget from that book is they talk about how whenever we undergo like a worldview shift or some sort of major change, inevitably we enter into what they call the obnoxious period, where we kind of become like those zealots. I mean, like, so it's like, I became a Christian. I wanted to get my parents saved. Like that didn't make any sense. I had a conversation with them, did not go well. Like they're fine, so,
Right.
So like I just went gung ho, and really what it was is I was trying to figure out, I was projecting all sorts of stuff because I was trying to figure out my own like boundaries for this foundation that I was building my life on. And so like enter into deconstruction, then it's like that foundation's gone. And so now I'm going to enter into this new obnoxious phase where I'm trying to figure out this new thing that I'm going to build my life on again, that will work for this next phase of my life. And so that's kind of what we go through. And if we don't have humility, if we're not getting in touch with ourselves, like that's going to be so freaking hard to do, because we will enter into that tailspin. So it's like with anti-racism stuff, there's all sorts of folks who I think we end up projecting out because we just want to be right. And so we might pick one or two like black authors that we're just going to like go gung ho over. And then we'll like put ourselves up on this righteous pedestal because like we're one of the good ones, and then we'll just talk down everybody else, and that's not helpful. And it's and I feel like it's like an ego thing, and not from this, and it could possibly be coming from a place of guilt, and that's not going to sustain us for the long haul. So if we're committed to any of these things, like ultimately, and this is where it gets back, I think, to the religion piece, is like if our trajectory is to know all we can about God, like that's going to orient us in a certain way. If our goal in life is to continue to ask questions and view God as like mystery, and we want to like have more questions than answers by the end of this because God is so big,
right?
Then that's going to orient us in a different way. Similarly, like to anti-racism, it's like, okay, if we just acknowledge we're never going to figure it all out, but we're committed to learning, that's a different orientation. Like, and if you do that with God, if you do that with anti-racism, do that with anything, you're going to become a different person than if your end goal is to know it all. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Like, it doesn't change the fact that you're going to keep learning and you're going to try to continue to do better, be better, whatever, but it just changes it. And I think it's really important for us to know who we are as we engage in that path where it's like, it's the path that's like, I'm not ever going to know it all, but that's like, I'm on the journey. I'm committed. It's going to be lifelong, and I'm committed.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything you've said just like super resonates with me. And I think, like, I know people who are still adamantly engaged in the quote unquote, I hate to say just even, I guess, the evangelical Christian worldview, and yet are very much anti-racist. And so it's like their identity isn't about, hey, it's just this, very narrow worldview that I'm only just trying to like get people to heaven or, stay them out of hell. Oh, and that includes gay people or what? No, it's like everyone's included, and their worldview is way more expansive and open. And I don't know, I think for me, I grew up in a pastoral home, and I had to have honest conversation with my parents, and I love them that I've had them as pastors my whole life, and now I need them to just be my parents. Like, I know for all intents and purposes I am lost in your worldview, and I'm not on the path that God, Christ, would have me on. And as much as I love them, and like you're saying, like there are good intentions behind that, like I just need you to be my parents for now. Mm-hmm. And like that doesn't mean to say that they weren't my parents my whole life, or that I haven't grown in a loving household, but just that, the fear that comes with that worldview, right? That's like, hey, I'm worried you're going to this eternal damnation. Like if my parents, if they believe that and they didn't reach out to me, I would be like, hey, you don't really love me. Yeah. So I can give them credit for that. But at the same time, for me, my being in a different place and not seeing hell as a literal place, and not seeing at least that, hey, we need to bring heaven to earth. We need to transform the shit that we're mucking around in here as humans. And to do that, I think our healing has to be able to just see each other as who we are, as sacred individual beings with that, like you're saying, that divine spark that, hey, whatever helps motivate you to do good in the world, we're all going to root each other on in our journey,
Yeah.
And that means having grace and humility and coming to this work realizing we're not going to be perfect. And so I'm not saying there aren't Christians who are like that, but when you have a worldview that is saying no one else's worldview is true but ours, that doesn't sound like a very humble, open-minded, like wanting to expand. And so I think for me, that's why I have you here, Nick, to because I'm you're my pastor, and I want to people please you. That's I said that earlier. Good. I'm like, make sure that's recorded. I'm here to please you, Nick.
Micah, you have been absolved.
I've been absolved. Praise be. Praise be. Cheers. Cheers.
To absolution.
Well, I told you I'd only keep you for an hour. I've roughly been there.
Yeah.
I think. Before we go, can you just share one thing that's been on your heart that you're excited about this new year? Just something that doesn't have to be a New Year's resolution, but just, something that hopefully is going to give you a spark of joy in pursuit of your journey.
Yeah. Two things. One is actually the stuff that we've just been talking about, because I'm right there with you. Like, I've been a people-pleasing person my whole life. I was taught to, not trust myself and to only trust the figures that were in positions of authority. And that really did a number on me, because we can't experience God outside of our own body. So for all of us who are on some sort of spiritual path, be it Christian or otherwise, like, it's important for us to recognize that God, we only experience God in our bodies. So why in the world are we not trusting them? And so for me, it's, one of the things that brings me life and excitement is like, okay, how can I continue to explore that and to really live from that, like, just to be in touch with my body and to listen to it, understanding that, God is there. Yes. And God cares about that. Like, I mean, I know it kind of gets distorted, but people talk about your body as a temple. And so it's like, don't you dare get tattoos. But it's like, I think there's something deeper to it, but it's just like, God is there. We have that divine spark. And so how can we, get in touch with that thing, knowing that, we can't know God any more than we know ourselves, and vice versa, that Teresa of Avila thing. And so that's one thing that's bringing me, that I'm hopeful for in the new year. I'm not going to call it a resolution, because I don't want people to call me.
No resolutions here.
No resolutions.
No resolutions in this household.
But then outside, like, the other thing that I'm just excited about is, like, we talked about game time earlier. I'm excited about being able to just, like, engage in more creative endeavors. Yeah. Because, especially with the pandemic, it's hit everybody differently, and it's been hard to varying degrees for all sorts of folks, or in different ways it's been difficult for folks. And for me, this last year and a half was, like, very hard for the Open Table, as we had to undergo, like, staffing changes, realizing that, oh shoot, we're not on, like, a financial trajectory where we can actually have 2 full-time staff. So we had to, like, we basically, like, halved our staff at the church. And so that was difficult. And, it's figuring out how to navigate that and get to a place of sustainability. We're now there. And so I would just love to be at a place where I can just, like, focus on creative things. And to, like, not let that piece go, because I can tend to just get bogged down and want to put the blinders up and just, like, go and take care of all the things that are causing me anxiety. Yeah, yeah. Because I just want anxiety gone. So those are the 2 things.
Wow, that's beautiful. I wish you well in this new year, and to all of our listeners, that you may you never make a resolution. Just make an intention this year, and pursue it. Nick, where can we find you online, both for personal, maybe the Open Table, whatever you would like to share?
Yeah, I don't do a lot on it online.
Yeah,
I know. I'm on it, but I don't post a ton. But Nick Pickrell on Facebook, or at Nick Pick doesn't have a smartphone on Instagram.
Yeah.
Which I do have a smartphone. It's technically a lie. But whenever my Instagram was started, it was a couple of good friends of mine that started it back when I had a flip phone. And so if you look back at the earliest posts, chances are it was my friends posting it, not me. And so it could have been a picture that I had that I sent to them from my flip phone being like, hey, can you post this? But by and large, it was just them posting random crap, saying, like, pretending to be me, because they had the password, like, they were the ones that did it. So,
and Nick's got the kind of friends where they'll take a blow up headshot of him and put it on beach towels, 7 feet long.
That's right. That's right.
Nick's a low key famous beach famous, with his image across.
I'm beach towel famous.
Beach towel famous. I gotta hopefully find a photo for that. Put that in the video too.
Yep.
And then the Open Table, it's just the Open Table KC.
Yeah, the OpenTableKC.com. Yep.
Yeah, cool. Yep. Well, love you, Nick. Thanks for being here again.
Yeah, same, Micah.
Yeah.
You're a good dude. You just rock those Chinese buffets. I'll join you one of these times.
You know what? I'm just going to keep going by myself until I can do it and feel no internal judgment towards myself. like make it a personal cause. Just put on 400 pounds. But, like, I did it, everybody. I went to Chinese buffets till I finally was able to do it without any personal judgment. Just gained 400 pounds later. Oh my God.
So good. All right, Micah, I'm praying for you.
Pray for Micah. Thanks for joining me for the Pray for Micah podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe on this channel and follow me on social media. Pray for Micah Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and yes, even TikTok. We'll see you next time.
You are now re-entering the normal world.